Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Now I don't think I've actually shown these before, but I've had these for a while, and they are basically leaflets that you would have received from radio rentals if you wanted to rent one of their televisions or video recorders. And we're actually starting off with one of my favourites. So this one's actually from 1984, which would have been around a year that, funnily enough, we got my parents got their Baird badge 26-inch stereo television, or stereo capable television, and yeah, stereo and text. It was identical to this actually, although ours was with a grey front rather than the wood finish front. Only problem we ever had with that was field collapse, and that was resolved by the engineer coming out and replacing the field output chip. Quite literally, that was the only issue we ever had with it. Sadly, we didn't keep it. We moved on to another set and VCR combination soon after, but I certainly remember it as probably being one of the favourite sets that my parents actually had. We also had it with the matching 3V31, or in other words the Baird 8941 or Thorn 8941, which would have been the rental model number. So these were the features that you had with it. The mid-range option was the model 6083, which was the 22-inch model. That would have been a TX10 with an A56 540X tube. You also had a 20-inch version, 6083, which would have been, sorry, the 6093, which would have been TX9 with the A51 580X tube. There's one of those actually on my channel somewhere, which now belongs to a friend of mine, but I owned that set for a number of years and sort of allowed me to relive some of the glory days of being 5 years old with an amazing television set for the time. You also had the 26-inch model, which my understanding, the 26-inch versions were rental only. You couldn't get them as a Ferguson branded set. They were literally rental only. Now I think these actually come from a number of different dates. The dates are marked down the bottom. So this one is from what looks like October 1983. And this was a little TX9 portable with remote control. Very simple little thing, shown here in a kitchen setting, which would have been the intended destination for a set of this nature. You could also get the 8170, which would have been without the remote control. And for some reason, that's actually listed twice. I'm not quite sure why, but that looks like a typo. Came with the ultrasonic remote control, which is interesting. That was something that we saw a lot in the 1970s. Looks like it was still used into the early 80s as well. This one here looks like a later set. If we actually have a look at the date for this, yeah, there we are, 584. So this would have been, I think, a TX90, shown here in a typical bedroom situation, which again would have been sort of the intended place for a set of this nature. Here finished in the rather nice white colour, with remote control by the looks of it. Non-remote versions had push buttons down here, also available as a Ferguson as well. So this had special AV channel for use with video, which obviously this one also had as well. 14-inch TX90, if I remember rightly, infrared remote control with more functions, sweep channel tuning, standby, and a control selection indicator. And it says here it's perfect. It's the perfect second set for use in your bedroom, the kitchen, or even the kids' room to keep them happy. You can change channels, adjust volume, and switch the set on or off with the easy-to-use remote control unit, and the picture quality is superb. British TX technology sees to that. The portable slim cabinet is finished in white with black trim. Just the job for the second set in your home. That really was quite a fashionable little set to have. Now we got this one in this rather 1970s setting, sort of one of the last big sort of cabinet televisions. Nice bowl of fruit there, 1970s style carpet and coffee table. That carpet there, just the thing for the shake and vac to put the freshness back. This one is from 583. I don't think this was a TX chassis. You can see here that it says superb picture quality from the low power consumption PIL tube circuitry. This looked like to be a rental special, and I think this was a Thorn 9800 with teletext and later remote. Came in the more old-fashioned style cabinet, which a lot of people around that sort of generation actually liked. I did see one of these come up on eBay a few months ago. I don't know how much it sold for, but these are rare, very rare indeed, as they were, I'm led to believe, a rental-only special. Now we've got this rather little interesting one here, which was a portable with clock and radio, which was interesting. This is from 484, so April 1984. Came with an AM/FM radio, a clock timer, an alarm call, and VHF and UHF aerials. Not sure if this was a TX9 or TX90. I would guess, looking at the appearance of it, that that was probably a TX9. However, I am happy to be corrected on that. And a rather interesting little set, given the fact that it had the radio and the alarm clock, so ideal thing for the bedroom. Now we got this nice little set here. A friend of mine actually does own one of these in 20-inch form. This would have been your sort of mid-range living room set, available in a range of different sizes. In this case, it's actually got teletext. Now this one is from June 84. It was the 20-inch 6023. This would have had, because it had teletext, it would have had the 580X tube, and it would have had the TX9 chassis as well. But this was a very nice, and in some cases, because they do seem to just go on and on, a very nice, very long-lived little TX9 television set, still capable of producing, quite frankly, excellent results. Then we move up the tier. This one looks like a 26-inch version, judging by the size of that tube. This was 584, yes, and this was the high-end mono teletext set, so the model 6013. Again, I know somebody else that has one of these, funnily enough. TX10, A66 580X tube. It has teletext, remote control, so quite a full-featured remote control, and a pull-down flap on the black control panel conceals manual controls for channel, change and tone adjustment. All in all, very nice set, and was certainly sort of quite a popular option because it gave you the big screen and teletext, which was the two things that a lot of people wanted back then. This was an odd one. This was, I think, a 9600, and this was another rental special. I have never seen another. My parents did rent one of these. It had the ultrasonic remote control, which if you jangled a chain would actually mute the television set because it generated the correct frequency. Ours didn't come with this stand. We had a video recorder, low-line Baird front loader affair that we used underneath it. Not sure what tube it used. It was a 20-inch, I remember that much. And I always thought it strange that you had individual channel buttons to turn the set to a different channel, as well as the remote control. The remote control was literally just up, 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 up. Little LCD indicator as well. Maybe in vacuum fluorescent, I don't know. But this was the 8101. It was, I think, very much an entry-level set. This one was actually 1082. We had ours in 86, 87, so we really did downsize at that point. We went from the 26-inch via something I think that was ITT based, And then we sort of, I guess, sort of almost hit rock bottom in radio rentals stakes by having this set. However, it wasn't terrible. The picture was pretty reasonable from what I remember. It did everything that you needed it to, and it was quite an attractive looking little set. Not bad, not great, not great, not terrible. It did the job, basically. Again, rental only special, from what I understand. You just don't see them anymore, unfortunately. I would like to get hold of one because it was quite a quirky looking thing from the early 80s. Now we come on to video cassette recorders. This one you'll recognise as the 892, I want to say 8923, am I correct? I do apologise, it's the 8924. Also interesting, actually, I didn't realise this. You could get the 3V23 as a rental, similar to the model 8924, but with a light silver finish. So this dark finish was the rental presentation. That was your sort of typical rental appearance. But you could get a silver finish, which looked more like the consumer Ferguson version, in the light silver colour. And interestingly, they were marketing this as a video recorder option in February 1985. So this was actually quite a long-lived deck within the rental range. By this time, it probably would have been an entry-level front loader. However, to be honest with you, it was quite a bit better than some of the front loaders that you were getting at the time. It was sort of one of the second generation VCRs, so still built very well indeed. And interestingly, this set behind it has the Baird logo at the top and the channel indicator at the bottom. You saw those a lot in schools, so I do wonder if they kept this deck on for school contracts. This you might recognise from one of the videos that I've done previously. This is the JVC GR something or other 01 in Ferguson form. It is the Ferguson 3V41. Interestingly here, rather than rebadge the entire camcorder, they've actually kept the Ferguson name, even though this is the rental market. So this would have been a little set for the rental market. This actually reminds me, I need to get some of this foam so I can redo the case that I've got, and also some of this nice blue felt as well. So that's going to be a project for a little later. Coming back to sets, we've got this little portable. This would have been, oh yeah, this was the 16-inch portable. This is from August 1984. So you could get some TX9s in 16 and 18-inch tube sizes. So this was sort of your bridge between a living room set and a fully portable set. You could sort of class it, I suppose, if we're going to use a PC term, you could class it as a luggable set, because it wasn't totally portable, but you could lug it around, so to speak. And you could easily transport it from one room to another, as indicated with these nifty handholds. Ideal for a smaller property, or a property where you wanted to have a set that was big enough for living room viewing, but also you could use in the bedroom as well. Got another one of the Super Sound here, slightly different setting, and this one is from 1083, so this is actually a slightly earlier version of the same set. Available, same model numbers as before, 6083 for the 22, 6093 for the 20, and 6103 for the 26-inch model. Not really much difference. I think it may have been probably an earlier revision of each chassis. Some cosmetic differences. This wood finish gave way fairly quickly for an all silver finish on the front. Also available with the optional stand as well. Again, this would have been probably top of the line for sets for that particular year. Now we have one of my favourite top loaders. I don't have one, I do need to rectify that at some point, but it is basically a Ferguson 3V30 with linear stereo circuitry. This was a rental special. So you would see these with Baird, DER and multi-broadcast branding. There was never a Ferguson version of this deck. Well, there was. It was the 3V30, but the 3V30 didn't come with linear stereo. So you could have a top-of-the-line super sound stereo set coupled and paired with a top loader. So with cable remote. Really odd deck. Linear stereo, but everything else quite basic. Although it did come with, let's have a look closely. Yes, it did come with audio dub facilities and other semi-pro facilities. It is still a JVC deck, closely related to the 3V30 and 3V29, but I'm not sure if JVC did it for other markets. The German market may have had a stereo JVC version of this deck, but quite unusual to see that. So this was badged up as the 8940. And you could get, I think you could get an 8930 version, which I think was the equivalent of the 3V29. But it was quite fully featured. It was top loading, but it had a 14-day 8-program timer, had picture search. Everything else was basically the same as the 3V31, albeit with a cable remote control. But it did have the stereo sound facility, and it was the ideal companion if you couldn't stretch to the 3V31-32 series, or the 8941, 8942. Perfect companion for one of those super sound sets. You do see these come up from time to time on eBay. Usually someone's badly stuck a Ferguson badge onto it and then markets it as a Ferguson, but we all know it's a rental. Now we got one of my favourite decks of all time, the 3V31 or Baird 8941. Here in its rental colours. Non-rentals were usually silver with Ferguson badging, but a very attractive set for the time. I would class this a 3rd generation deck because you've got the linear stereo and also long play features, which would just be an extra switch on the side here. Remote control, obviously JVC based. That would have been the HR 7650 and 7655. Also saw service under, I think, Nordmend, ITT, Telefunken, Saber, or however you pronounce it, SABA, Ferguson, multi-broadcast, DER, Baird, etc. Many different brands used, obviously, the JVC range of VCRs at this time. Now, I've got an ITT version of the 3V32 or 8942. I've also got a Ferguson version of the 8942 as well. I did have, for some time, a rental version, badged up multi-broadcast, but I gave that to a friend of mine to effectively complete his collection, so he's now got a selection of rentals and non-rental versions. Very much the same as the 8940, except it's front loading with infrared remote control. And if you wanted to, you could get the long play version, which isn't actually listed on here. But this was available from 1/83, so January 83. And this one was available from, or certainly was available in October 83. So those were sort of your decks for 83. So really, if we sort of compare these to the Ferguson brochures I did back in 2020, if you rented, you actually had, certainly set-wise and VCR-wise, arguably a wider selection of options than you did as a consumer walking into, say, Rumbelows to purchase one of these decks under the Ferguson brand. So certainly an interesting little segue into the Radio Rentals brand at the time. Unfortunately, Radio Rentals is long gone these days. I think they're now known as Box Clever, but you don't really see much of them. They don't advertise. They just seem to sort of exist, and they are there, I think, mainly to sort of cater for existing radio rentals customers that have been too paid over to box clever. But yeah, nice little piece of history. At one point, we didn't usually buy our video recorders and televisions, we rented them, which gave us the freedom to have a television set in VCR to suit our budget. We didn't have to pay for repairs. This was sort of back in the time when, you know, these things did go wrong fairly often. However, you could say Ferguson shot themselves in the foot, which I don't think they did, but it's a phrase you could use by producing chassis that were so reliable. You know, the TX9 and TX10s, especially when they came up to the third revision, were very reliable chassis. And you would get sort of the, you know, you'd get sort of standard stock faults, but major life-ending faults, not really. They just seem to go on, and really it's sort of testament to the quality and sort of almost simplicity of those sets now that we're still talking about them and using them in some cases nearly 40 years after they originally came out. Anyway, that is actually it for today. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Also consider subscribing for more upcoming fascinating hobbies. Thank you for watching. See you soon.